let's all have some great relief and excitement, because all you need to do is collect your chop money every morning at 8:30 a.m. by just dialing, well, we're talking about *446#. You have to select option 2 to play Dewa 539 chop money. So win 20 times your stake with direct 1, 40 times your stake with direct 2. Now, 40 times your stake with direct 3. You can also PEM your numbers or also bet on all 3 numbers to win big. So you pick from just 1 to 39 numbers. So it's just an easy way for you to win. Every win with Dewa 539, the only lottery that offers you the best chances of winning. And that's what you need to do, just to collect your chop money every morning into your mobile wallet. Again, let me just remind you, dial *446# or you visit dewa-nla.com to play Dewa 539 chop money now. Dewa. Afa? Well, Nyafasu, our studio. So we go to the studio. We have Dennis Miracles Abuaje. He's a big man at the presidency. Let me just read to you his position: Presidential Staffer and Director of Local Government and Decentralization, Office of the President. Thank you for joining us.
I don't look like a big man, and I am not one.
Right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How have you been?
I've been well.
Great. I like your smiles.
Thank you. Don't be mischievous. Stop that.
You started it.
Okay. Kwame Jantua is chairman for the Political Affairs Committee of the CPP. They are going to elect the presidential candidate, if I'm right, based on the communication so far and what we also carried on the news. Good morning to you, Ola Jantua.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. Abraham Amaliba is also a lawyer and also with the Directorate for Legal Affairs of the opposition NDC. Thank you, Mr. Amaliba. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Great. And when are you doing the election, sir? The CPP?
Sorry?
The CPP?
The elections? I think it's sometime this month or next.
This month, okay. All right. So we'll have some time to discuss that. But this morning, we want to have some sneak peek into what the former chair for the Electoral Commission has been talking about. And he's been raising some concerns about the continuous insistence of the Electoral Commission of Ghana to continue doing the collation on regional basis each time we have the presidential elections. And you remember that was in the current CI and CI 127, consistent with what is being implemented. And then also this time, they're having a draft CI before Parliament, or intent putting it before Parliament. That is also indicating that the Ghana card will become the sole document for ensuring continuous registration. So from now till the time they open or close the next register for 2024 general elections, if you want to be in that register, you have to acquire a Ghana card. If you don't have one, the Electoral Commission is insisting you need to. Well, we also took snipers of that interaction and an interview that Dr. Farijan had. We'll bring you that, and then we'll start the conversation.
Builds confidence in the process. So I think that borrowing that we did from Nigeria by not collecting from at least 275 result sheets, but from only 16 result sheets. At the next opportunity, we should reverse it. That's why I said, okay, maybe the Electoral Commission is being lazy.
It is not desirable to set up many collation points in the results management process. Each collation center represents a point where results can be corrupted. Training election workers well to minimize the possibility.
And Miracles Abuaje, let me start with you. What do you make of his caution or perhaps advice?
Roland, I think that we've had a lot of evolution in electoral processes since 1992. And if you pay close attention, you realize that each of the elections have been unique. At every election, we've had to introduce something else. We've introduced things that we had to review and we've introduced new things as, as a country. So for me, I think when suggestions and ideas are shared, that is how it should be taken. It's up to the Electoral Commission and the stakeholders therein to look at what the former Electoral Commissioner is saying and see how viable, feasible, the pros and cons of it. And then I'm sure they will adopt the right one for us as a country. The end game is that we should have a free, fair, and transparent elections. That for me is the end game. And so whatever the inputs are, whatever the suggestions are, that is what it should lead to. I'm not one that criticizes the Electoral Commission. Neither am I one that speaks for the Electoral Commission. They have their own PR unit, and I do not work with them. So it's difficult for me to be able to say that, oh, what the Electoral Commission is doing is right or is wrong. For me, I would look at what they are doing and see whether it helps in the processes. From where I sit, and not to speak for the Electoral Commission, but from where I sit as one that has been involved in the elections over the period, I struggle to understand how the regional coalition centers affect the processes. Because there's a reason why we have constituency coalition centers for the presidential results. Don't forget, it is only the parliamentary election that is declared at the constituency. Even that one, it is first of all announced at the polling stations and then collated at the constituency, then it's declared. Otherwise, we would also say that we don't have to collate 275. We should collate 38,622 polling stations.
Based on the polling station from the last election.
Exactly, 38,622. Then we can also say, well, another argument, if we are to go by that, say, we'll say, okay, then we don't let's even call it at the constituency. When we finish and it's announced, let's paste it at the polling station, and all the 38,622 forms should come to Accra, because that is where the presidential coalition center is. I mean, with the proposal Dr. Farijan is given. But for me, I think these are not things that we should belabor, and these are things that require technical conversations and viability. Because if I collate 500 polling stations in this area, the Kanda area, and then this is Ayawasi East, right? And then I take you to the Ayawasi East Constituency Coalition Center. What is done is the entire 500 polling stations listed on the table and the votes counted, recorded. Then Ayawasi East records 10,000 for NDC, 15,000 for MPP. Then that 10,000 and 15,000 for Ayawasi East is sent to the Regional Coalition Center. So in the Greater Accra region, is it 29 constituencies or I mean whatever, these constituencies are also now checked and listed. So Ayawasi East, NDC 10,000, MPP this, You make sure you have all the constituencies in Greater Accra. Then those constituencies are also lifted to the National Collation Center. So the only layer that Professor Farijan, Dr. Farijan is talking about is the Regional Collation Center. But this is very, very debatable, because the argument can also be that the once you reduce the bulk nature of the data from the constituencies, then you are creating even more transparency. Don't forget, at the regional level, the scrutiny can be stronger at that particular time, because then they are dealing with a few constituencies at a time. So at the regional level, you scrutinize your data. Make sure that that data for you as party people is what it is. Then you move it to the national level. There are pros and cons to it. The pro with the regional-based coalition is that it helps us political parties to be able to really be sure. So in the Eastern region, 33 constituencies. I check if each of the 33 constituencies are exactly what it is that my party people have sent to me. Then that 33 constituency data is sent to the regional level. The argument is that, Dr. Farijan's argument is that don't send it. Rather, send the individual 33 constituencies from Eastern region to Accra. Don't send 16 regional coalition.
You don't think that makes more sense?
No.
How many constituencies do we have?
275.
Okay, so we have 275, and before we did the introduction of CI 127. Okay, so before we did the introduction of CI 127, you sent 275, well, before then, if it was, you sent 275 directly to the EC office for presidential election, because the debate is always, especially on the presidential election.
Actually, the parliamentary is declared as the constituency.
Yes, certainly. So how is that a Herculean tax for the EC to the point that directly from the constituency, you send to the Electoral Commission, where we have also media personnel, the observer groups are also available. It is also shown on national TV, or the report is consistent, just like we've done in consistent elections over the period. And then that is so Herculean a tax that it's now 16 regions, for which we have some, for example, Ashanti region has 47 constituencies. Everybody will have to be waiting with bated breath for 47 constituency result from the regional office to come to the national.
It is the same. That is why I'm saying that these things, you see, it is the same. Don't forget.
So for you, the election is only about just reporting the numbers directly?
No. It is the same. Whatever numbers is being reported from the constituency to the national level, that is what is being reported from the constituency to the regional level to the Electoral Commission. And then that same resource is transmitted from the regional level to the National Collation Center. For me, I want to rather hear what it is that the regional coalition center or the cons in the regional coalition center, or how it affects the process. Because otherwise, then we might as well say, how Herculean is it to transmit 38,622? So that we have a big screen, everybody is watching. In my polling station, they send it from the polling station. After they're using machines, isn't it? And then they send it. How about that? Then in that case, we can say, okay, everybody can see.
Do that argument as well.
Yeah, but ultimately, whatever is sent to the region and sent from the region to the national, it's all followed by the final pink sheet from the polling station. But like I said, these are all conversations that needs to continue to improve the process. This is something that we fight over, because that is his view. Others also disagree. Others also have the view that, well, we should even have the system where the thing is declared at the polling station, it goes straight to the collation center in Accra. How about that? How Herculean is that? Because it's just 38,622. And before it even gets to the region, by 8 p.m., every polling station is already done. So how about we saying that let's send it directly? So let's have these conversations and help to improve the system. I don't think Dr. Frejan has said anything wrong. I don't think he said anything bad. But there's a matter of views and opinions as to how we're going to improve on the process. And I'm sure the Electoral Commission that we have, which we've had in the past, is one that will take on some of these views and help to improve the system.
It looks like Dennis' argument is consistent with what the Electoral Commission has been arguing about, for which even the new CI drafts they are having currently, and then in turn having Parliament to approve consistently, also seems to rhyme with the same argument. What do you say to that, Mr. Maliba?
So let me start by saying good morning to your viewers, and to say that anytime you listen to the venerable Dr. Farijan, you come to one conclusion, that he knows his stuff. You cannot run away from that. Now, on election day, when you look at the processes, on election day, we have voting at polling stations. We have the counting there. Then the materials will be moved to a collation center. Now, when you look at those processes, at the polling station, normally we don't have much tension there. The elections goes on peacefully. You notice that tension begins to mount at the collation center. And that's how come 8 people were gunned down in the last elections. So the coalition centers are not places that you go and have a peaceful walk around there. There's so much tension there. Farijan says that some of the manipulations, or mostly the manipulations, take place there. And look at his background. This is somebody who has headed the institution for long, so he knows what he's talking about. Now, you are creating a second layer, or you've created a second layer, which is the regional coalition centers. Aren't you creating 2 centers where there is tension and can create problems for us. In any case, what is the basis for the regional coalition? In my view, we are not a federal state to want to know how each region voted.
But
We're not
it's just a
fed-
process of
And
collation.
I'm telling you that. Then in that case, why don't we also create a third layer, which is a geographical coalition? Why don't we say, okay, northern sector, also put your own together. Southern sector, put your own together. Why don't we do that? Or why don't you say, coastal areas, put your own together. Savannah areas, put your own together. There must be a reason for that. The reason for constituency coalition is because we have representation in parliament based on constituencies. That fits into my argument that we are not a federal state. In some federal states, they have regional representations. We don't have regional representations. So by creating your regional coalition center, what do you want to achieve? What do you want to achieve?
Somebody will ask, why not?
Why not? Because it is needless. Nobody is going to represent any region anywhere. But there's constituency coalition because we are represented at coalition centers, coalition levels. We are represented at coalition levels. And that is why I'm saying that if you just want to create coalition centers, then next time, let's divide the country into two. Northern coalition center and Southern coalition center. Needless. What is it going to represent? What is it going to do? In any case, our coalition centers, which is the constituency coalition centers, served us well. It has served us well. There hasn't been any hitches. What is the mischief that they were seeking to cure when they introduced the regional coalition center?
They wanted to reduce tension at the national level.
So, who told you that? That at the national level,
Well, I'm
they wanted
surmising.
to do that. Is that what the EC told you?
Oh, I'm surmising.
So the EC itself has not come to tell us what they seek to cure. You put in policies, you put in plans, because there's a mischief you want to cure. What is the mischief here? When we were directly sending results from constituency to the region, where did we get it wrong? Did it affect the validity or did it affect the fairness of the process? Did it? No. But there are some school of thought who think that and that's what Afarijan indicated. The second coalition center is clearly supposed to allow for mischief. And that's why he's saying that, look, a second coalition center, which is the regional coalition center, is a recipe for fraudulent acts.
How is fraud perpetrated at that level?
That's where the cheating takes place. And in the last election...
How is that done?
How is that done? Okay. So at the coalition center, I've told you how tensions are always high. And I've told you how 8 people were killed because the people there wanted to ensure that there's transparency and insisted that counting should be done. So when you take Techima South, coalition was not done. The people there were of the view that there should be coalition. And so there was tension that led to the killing of 2 people there. Now, if you then decide to then create a regional coalition center, as they have done, it means that the results will not be declared. The results there will now be transmitted to the regional coalition center. And there again, another set of tension. And I'm saying that when you transmit the result from constituency to region, the likelihood of tampering will take place. In the last election...
How is that done? I've asked you that.
No, how is that done is because you have officials of the EC who, if you are not vigilant, could change your results for you. Results have been changed at polling stations
Oh my God.
in this country.
It can't be changed at the constituency when it's
You see?
to Accra.
So you are creating more centers of
Collusion?
fraudulent acts.
Okay.
That's what he's saying. You are creating more centers of fraudulent acts to take place. Granted that there's cheating at the polling station, granted there's cheating at the constituency level, do you want to create another center that will create cheating in there? So when you hear Afarijan, he's simply saying that a third layer or a second layer of collation would result into some mischief. And I think that we must listen to him. It is a reason why Jim Mensah couldn't take the witness box. Because you notice that at the end of the election, he couldn't even give us one
Consistent.
conclusive results. I am told the results transmogrified 7 times.
Publicly, we know about 3.
Yeah. But when you go to their website, it kept changing. It kept changing. And so, are we going to listen to him? Because his experience, I think that the political parties must take this on at IPAC and ensure that the right things are done so that we reduce the incidence of rigging elections. And this is not coming from me. This is coming from somebody who has presided over that institution for so many years. And I tend to agree with him. That more coalition centers creates the tendency for rigging.
Mr. Jantua, issues of election always come up with the issues, but when it comes to the last election, the regional coalitions were undertaken, as far as the parties are concerned, apart from the final declaration of the results, which were done, well, in different times, or at different times, which were only the difficult issues that the parties had. So for the Electoral Commission, it shouldn't be a problem at all, and for the parties at least. It's just a numbers game. You're transmitting result from regional to national. That makes even the work at national easier. If I can argue that for the EC.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning to my fellow panelists. Good morning to our viewers. What are they trying to cure with the regional coalition centers? What are they trying to cure? What are they trying to prevent by bringing in the regional coalition centers? What's the reason for having the regional coalition centers? Have they told us? So ordinarily what happens is that the results are counted at the constituency level and then transmitted to
Presidential elections, yes.
to the
We've been doing that since,
to
yes.
the headquarters.
Until 2020.
So why this new leg? What's the reason? Have they given us a reason? I'm not sure. I haven't heard. And you are creating bureaucracies along the way which can cause complications. It can cause complications. So I don't understand why, for an election, which can make or break a country, why we want to create additional centers that can create confusion. So they count at the polling station, then the results are sent electronically to the region. And what's the reason for it going to the region?
First, there's a declaration at the various polling stations.
Yes, yes.
Then sent to coalition
And
centers.
sent to coalition centers, right? At the polling station, the constituency level, where it's counted, should it not be shown electronically on an electronic board? Can't that figure be sent direct to the headquarters? Why the regional center? I'm trying to understand why. Maybe somebody should tell me, and then I will understand why we need to have that regional centers. Other than that, I don't see its use. If there are no hidden agendas anywhere, then I do not see its use. Because why? It's figures that need to come to the center for the center to be able to tell the people, so what is it? Maybe you can tell me. Maybe Miracles can tell me.
I can.
Maybe, what do you call it?
I have no idea. I don't know. Except maybe the mischief you are talking about.
I don't understand.
It's supposed to reduce the numbers. It's the volume of the numbers. So when it's done regionally, then you take it to national.
And so when it comes to reduce what numbers? Tell me.
The volume of numbers that
it's
the
figures.
Electoral Commission at headquarters has to deal with.
It's figures, isn't it? Is it people? Is it people you account 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the region? No. Figures. You
bulk
voted.
figures.
Yes. What's the bulk figure? That's the figure. Take it to headquarters. It's even best for headquarters to go into it, to delve into it one by one. What are we in a hurry for? Some countries, it takes how many days? We want the right thing to be done.
In 2008, and I'd been covering elections since the year 2000. In 2008, the status quo remained until 2020, which was what's being advocated for, where the figures are sent directly from the constituency level to the headquarters. So when it's coming, Ayawaso West Wagon, then it's represented. Then you have Kwabne Japan and the rest all there. And
wasn't it the same time we had a big billboard at the conference center?
Yeah, we had conference. We used to have it at Independence Square. Then
where it was electronically and everybody saw it.
Yes. So then the media was very active at the time. So you get to know.
Why media isn't active this time?
Well, I'm only talking about the scenario from 2000. Okay. And then I note in 2008, so it reduced the tension at the regional level. And so if there was any tension, you had only few officials representing party observer groups, the Electoral Commission, who would then just have to wait for that result.
Yes.
And then also, you get multiple numbers quickly being declared by the Electoral Commission at the national level for whether it's the audience, it's for voters or a waiting public, etc. But the last election, I was at the collation room at the Electoral Commission too. Consistently, the observer groups, the parties, and even officials of the Electoral Commission had to wait, especially for regions that had many constituencies. And they had to wait for all that length of time, saying that there was no result sheets certified from a region coming in. And the regional result had many constituencies. So it increased the tempo but what do you make, or what do you say to that? That level of waiting, the consistent concern whether the result that is coming in will come in time, etc. And how that also resonates with the voters.
It creates tension. It creates tension and satisfies those who feel that tension is good. It creates tension. Why? No be results we are looking for. No be transparent results we are looking for. No be accountable results we are looking for. So why the wait? Waiting creates tension where elections are concerned. It needs to be snappy. And especially where you get a region like Ashanti, 47 constituencies, all that nitty-gritty stuff. Collation Center will have to go through. People are waiting. No. I don't really think so. Not unless I see a valid reason why we have to have the regional centers. At this point, I don't see.
Why not?
As much as possible, we should be able to sanitize any tension. Once the figures get to national, everybody is waiting. It's at national. And if there are any delays at national will be able to tell us. If there are delays in regional, and national can't tell us why there are delays in regional, what do you think people would think? Hey, Kululu be koso, it might not be there. Kululu be koso, international access ano. We don't need that kind of tension.